Hi guys, so I am in my car. This is going to be a little car chat because we are going to be talking about my thoughts as I am reading Harry Potter for the first time.
You're a wizard, Harry.
So I've always been a big fan of the Harry Potter movies. I've watched them multiple times, but I always felt like, you know, I was confused on certain details. And I never read the series growing up. So I now, as an adult, a fully functioning adult, was like, let me just read the series for the first time. And so that's what I did. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm on book 4 right now. And I really have been enjoying it. And I see why it's such like a cult classic. So we are going to go through books 1 through 3 today. Right now I'm reading book 4 and I'm hoping to do some in real time thoughts as I'm reading, kind of like reading vlog. But yeah. Okay, so Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, book 1. This was such a good introduction to the wizarding world and Harry Potter and the characters. I felt like this one was pretty much similar to the first movie. And yeah, I really loved this first book. Like, it was just truly so magical. One of the best parts, I think, is Harry finding out that he is a wizard. And, you know, he's grown up so hard. He's had a hard life, like not feeling like he belongs and living with his aunt and uncle and his cousin who are like crazy. They're nuts. And so, you know, him finding out that, you know, he belongs to this like magical world. Like, it's so amazing. And I love that for him. And so, of course, in the first movie, we get to see Harry make friends and just find out basically the lore of his life. Like, everybody knows him and he doesn't even know he doesn't even know that he's famous, and he's figuring it out. And yeah, I think it also must be very overwhelming as he's like what, 10, 11 in this first year, finding out that not only is he a wizard, there's a whole world outside what he has grown up and known, but also that there's a dark wizard that hates him and is out to get him. So it's pretty intense, and that'd be pretty intense for like a kid of his age. But I feel like he handles it so well. He definitely shows the bravery, you know, the themes of bravery and everything. So loved it. Just loved being like introduced to the world, to the wizarding world and everything. And it was just so magical. Okay, so I'm moving on to book 2. You know, I feel like every year we're gonna get like more high stakes, and that's kind of just how it is in the movies too. So it's nice to see that reflected in the books as well. But in book 2, which is the Chamber of Secrets, we're in year 2, Harry and the gang. I feel like it's not too much going on, you know, but of course, like there's things that I've noticed, and you know, there's things you start noticing about the characters, the character development in the second one, which I love. Like, one, you know, Ron knows so much more than they portray. At least in the movies, they kind of portray him as, you know, goofy and maybe not that smart, but he really is. Like, he is, at least in the group, you know, a pureblood. And not only that, Harry is also a pureblood, but not only that, but he grew up in a wizarding family. He has all these siblings and both his parents are wizards. And so he knows so much about the wizarding world. And, you know, even him teaching Harry and even a little bit of Hermione about like mudbloods, like that term and what that means. He knows about parcel tongue, parcel mouth, whatever it's called. So yeah, like Ron knows so much, and seeing that kind of dynamic between the trio, like Ron knows a lot about the wizarding world that he grew up in, but he may not be like the smartest when it comes to like he's not like book smart or anything, but he knows a lot. And then there's Hermione, who grew up with Muggle. She's Muggle born, but a lot of her smarts are coming from her being book smart, which is totally fine. Like, it helps. But then there's Harry, who seems like things come naturally to him, even though he's the one that knows the least. So it's interesting to see kind of that magical dynamic between them two. And you can also see that in the movies as well. So yeah, so in book 2, we get a little bit more of the backstory about Voldemort, aka Tom Riddle, and his background. You know, he went to Hogwarts and just the things that went down there. We learned that he's a half-blood. I think his dad was a Muggle, and then his mom is a witch, and she is descendant from the Slytherin line. So that's how Tom is able to speak Parseltongue. And it's interesting to see that like he grew up in a orphanage, actually, after his mom died, I believe. And it's interesting to see because I feel like how he grew up is definitely it contributes to how he becomes full of hate and whatnot. And so I also think Tom and Harry have some similarities in terms of like they grew up without parents basically, and it's just interesting to see how one turned out on the darker side, whereas Harry turned out on the side of light. And I think that may be because, you know, he's being reminded that he survived because of love, the love of his parents. And although he grew up in like, you know, a not so great household with his uncle and aunt and stuff, I feel like I think maybe there's hope in him, that there's more out there, and that helped him. I don't know, like it's just really interesting how they kind of grew up in a similar vibe, but one turned out evil and then the other one did not. So definitely some similarities between Harry and Voldemort there. And I'm excited to learn more about the lore of Voldemort. Like, I don't know, it's like we got good background of how he was and how he about him in Hogwarts, but I'm like, are we gonna get more about him? Like, how did he turn to this such hatred evil wizard and gain all these followers and all that? Like, are we gonna get more of that? I hope so. Okay, book 3, Prisoner of Azkaban. This was like one of my favorites in the movie series because I feel like it's kind of that shifting point to where things are picking up. Okay, we're learning more, things are happening, and so the story is progressing, and I found the same in the book here. So one, I'm really happy that Hagrid got this job, as you know, I think the subject of like magical creatures is so perfect for him. That's his thing. That's one thing he know how to do. Okay, so another thing, Malfoy and his family are very big haters. Okay, Snape too. I really am interested to learn more about why Snape is such a hater. Like, I remember the movies, but I really want to read like what happened that he hates, just such hatred, and he just seems so like depressed. I don't know, he's a hater, he's a big hater. So I'm really interested to see like and read like what has led him to who he is today. So in this book, we also get less of Hermione. You know, she is running around taking 2011 classes that she don't need to take, and of course being an overachiever. So we do see less of her, but she does pull through at the end with the whole the time machine necklace, the whatever. Let's talk about Lupin. Okay, Professor Lupin is by far the best teacher that they've had. He knows what he's doing. He gives students kind of like, they're excited about this class that they're usually not excited about. Every teacher before him, like they said, they think that this position is like cursed or whatnot, because nobody holds this position for like more than a school year. But Lupin, everybody's excited about this class. He's so gentle. He by far is the best teacher for the dark arts that they've had, and I love that. I also loved learning about the friendship between Sirius Black, Lupin, and Harry's dad, James. Friendship is one of the biggest themes in the Harry Potter series, and I think it was just so beautiful to be able to learn how James, Sirius Black, and Lupin were the best of friends when they were at school. You know, even so much that Sirius was named godfather to Harry Potter. So, like, you can see that friendship also reflected in Ron, Hermione, and Harry, and I just love that. But it's also sad that, like, Harry and Sirius both got robbed of being able to live together, you know? Not only live together, just know each other. Like, it makes you think how Harry's life would have been differently if he had grown up with Sirius instead of the Dursleys. Like, what do we think his life would have been like? Would he have been friends with Hermione and Ron still in his first year? Like, would him knowing more about his background and his parents and the wizarding world, would that have changed his course of who he became friends with and who he eventually became in terms of how brave he is and all that? Like, it's just interesting to see what the alternative would have been if he had lived with Sirius instead. And yeah, the ending of this was also so wholesome. Sirius writing that note saying that he bought the Quidditch broom for Harry, and that he watched him play, and that he wanted to continue to know Harry. So I honestly love that. And yeah, I really loved the first 3 books. I think they're just so wholesome and nostalgic. You know, those 3 movies have always been my favorite, and so reading them and getting more detail, it has just been so fun, and I am excited as the series goes on for, you know, to get more details and just it get a little bit more darker, I hear, and let the adventures begin. Okay, yes. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.